Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hello, Elle, Lorraine. Happy Sunday, Stephen. Happy New Year. Happy Sunday. Glad to see you all in the chat. Hope you all are well, having a good year so far. Good New Year so far. Thank y'all for joining. All right, I'll give it a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. Hey, Carl. I've been thinking about you. How are you? We need to catch up. Good to see your name in the chat. Happy Sunday, good people. Happy New Year, good people. Deborah, Happy New Year. Hey, Day. Happy Sunday, Happy New Year to you. WLJ, Happy Sunday, Happy New Year. All right. Hi, Gabrielle. Happy New Year, Happy Sunday. I will probably not be on that long, but those are sometimes that's not accurate. We end up staying on long even when I intend not to. Hi, Evelyn. Happy Sunday. Good to see you in the chat. Hi, Key. Good evening. Happy Sunday to you. All right, let me do my intro, get myself together, and then we can get to talking and doing all the things. As I introduce myself, my name is Jewel Pearson, and I built what I consider a fancy tiny house that I am sitting in 2015 because I don't believe you have to give up luxury to go tiny. And since that time, I have shared my journey to hopefully inspire others who are interested in the movement. I do offer coaching and consultations to help others in their tiny house journey. And once this video goes live, you will be able to find links to schedule with me in the video description below. And as I'm doing that, I like to serve up a lot of representation along the way. I want us to be able to see ourselves in this movement and be able to chat about our wins, our losses, our challenges, all the things so that we can be a successful part of this movement. And if you find this video and the information helpful, I hope you will like it, you'll share it, you'll subscribe to the channel, and then turn on the notifications so that you'll know when content is available and when we are going live. All right. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy New Year. Hello, Carolina Care community. Hey, Mary. Mary says she likes the evening chat. I'm a little tired, but the evening chat is okay. I think I do better in the early afternoon. Hi, Geraldine. Frederick. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year. All right. Good to see you all in the chat. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's a happy new year. I haven't chatted with you all since last year. I did talk to my Patreon community on New Year's Eve, but I haven't had a chance to chat with you all um, since last year. Hi, Rosalind. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year. I hope you all are well. Hope your new year is starting off good. I am in the house, which is a bonus. I've been in the house since Friday. The plumber, the electrician came out earlier in the week, and then hi JW, um, Milani, Chanel. The electrician came out early last week to fix his part of my challenge, and then the plumber came on Friday. It was actually his day off, so he did me a solid and came on his day off and worked on my on-demand setup. And so it took him almost all day. There was a lot going on. And come to find out, the challenge with my on demand system, because I think I shared with you all how I had a small holding tank in front of the on demand system to keep the water, um, to hold the water at a warm temperature and kind of ease the work of the on demand, which had been given some cold spurts. And as the plumber diagnosed all of that and reset some of the things, we realized that my problem was sediment, from maybe the last 5 years. I've been on um, farm well water systems. Yeah, at least 5 years. And there was a lot of sediment in both of those well systems. And sediment, like when he started taking the lines loose, it looked like it was not sand, because sand is really fine. It looked like along the beach where you'll see more of the shells ground up, like granules, not rocks, but a really kind of heavy sediment, and that was lodged in a lot of the lines in the water tank and in the on-demand system. And so that's what was impacting the water flow and impacting them from doing their work. And so ended up not needing the holding tank once we figured that out, cleaned the lines, and then I did buy a new on-demand water tank. And so it improved the water pressure, because I had been dealing with a lot of low pressure. um, Removing that fixed the pressure issues, as well as the um, heating of the water. So I have been able to be in the house since Friday, which is, I'm happy, very happy about that. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be home. So as I shared, once I could get in the tiny house, so the original part, um, the work that has to happen to finish the reattaching and getting the addition back together can happen while I'm here. So, aloha. So that's what's happening. I am home, and so today I did. We're expecting some winter storms. I think they're saying snow by the end of the week. I like snow for like about 15 minutes, and then I'm ready for it to go away. Um, but cold weather, it has been cold the last few um, evenings for sure. During the day, like it was warm Friday during the day, and then the cold front, I guess, came in, and the temperature started dropping dramatically Friday afternoon. So earlier today, I was out. Um, Wrapping, doing some more wrapping. I spoke to you all about, I've talked about wrapping the house since it's not on a foundation. So I worked on some of that. I can't completely finish that process because they're still working on leveling the addition. And so I can't close up can't add the underpinning or the wrapping until they finish that. So I did, I know to let my water drip, and last night I fell asleep and didn't let the water drip. And so this morning I woke up and my pipes were frozen. I ain't even been in here a few days, and then I let my pipes freeze. But fortunately, so the way I positioned the house, the sun rises back behind the house, and that is also where my water intakes are. And so it wasn't really sunny all day long, but the sun did rise, and like it was, I think it was out for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And when it came out, I was like, I said it out loud. I was like, okay, sunshine, please do your job and show me some grace. And so I had the faucets open, and after a while, it probably took about 15 minutes, and then I heard the water running again. So the sunshine did me a big favor, because then it went behind the clouds, and it was cloudy the rest of the day, but it did me. I think it was out maybe max 30 minutes, but in those 30 minutes, it warmed up the pipes. And so now I have the water dripping like I should. And then this afternoon, I also went out and wrapped the faucets. The plumber said I didn't need to wrap the faucets, and I've always wrapped my faucets, he was like the ones I had didn't need it. So I kind of trusted him for 2 days, and then today I went out and wrapped the faucets. So that's what I was out doing today. The What else did I do? Um, Wrap the faucets, wrap some of the house. Oh, and then the I think it's PVC. I think that's what it is. Um, the panels. I want to say corrugated panels. That might be right. The panels that I have on my porch, the Suntough panels. Um, they this is the first time it's really happened where they haven't fared all that well. So they are, I don't know if it was the direct sunlight out on the farm or heat or something, but they've cracked and I have some leaks. And then one of the windstorms out there took out one of my panels. So I have a gap on the end. So I also went out there today because that's later on the to-do list and the budget to get that repaired. So I put a tarp over that today. So I've been busy and I'm dirty. Um, I think my face looks greasy because I've been outside working, and even though it was cold, I did work up a little sweat. So I have been busy. That's why I needed the afternoon to get all that stuff done before this storm comes in. And then I also went to Target and to Lowe's. And so because I now live in civilization and I have stuff around me, I have been, well, I've been to Lowe's 10 million times as we're working on all the stuff around here, but I think I've been to Target twice over the weekend, and I had been very infrequent going to Target over at the other location because it was farther away. It was like 30 minutes away, 25, 30 minutes away. So now I got to get myself together because I have been to Target twice this weekend, and I don't need to impact my budget negatively. But anyway, so that is what I've been doing today. I got everything done I needed to do to feel good about the storm. And as I talk about wrapping the house, I have shared with you all, because the house is not built on a foundation, the floors tend to be colder, as well as a foundation on a house helps with the pipes. Any house, the pipes will freeze on any house if the extended if the temperature drops for an extended period of time. But with the tiny house and not having a foundation, my pipes tend to freeze more often than not. So wrapping the house helps because I'll use foam board insulation to wrap the house, and it holds heat up underneath it and helps with um, cut off this heat and helps with the pipes not freezing. I have also used there are lights that um, farmers will use, like in chicken coops and I don't know what other stuff, but they'll use these lights to um, keep stuff warm and keep water warm so that the animals have the water out there for animals won't freeze. And so There was one year I actually had a light up underneath the house to keep stuff warm. I haven't had to do that um, for the last, I think that was early on. I had the light under the house, and I haven't done that for like the last 7 or 8 years, and I don't intend to do that this year. But once I get the wrapping completely done, I think we'll be okay. And then, like I said, remembering to let the water drip. So that's it. That's what I've been doing. Getting prepared for winter is one of the things that you kind of have to expect in a tiny house. My The very first year I was in the house, I had just kind of set it up temporarily with I think I had foam board insulation. I know for sure I wrapped it with a tarp. Um, and I had done it as a temporary solution. And by the time, like those 3 months from winter, I was so sick of looking at that tarp. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And I couldn't wait for spring to come so I could take that tarp off. And then after that year, I learned to do the wrapping so it could be something that could stay up all year round. So I didn't have to around October, start doing the wrapping for the house again. So that's what I've done since that first year. This year I'm doing it a little bit different. So out at the farm, because my intention at one point was not to move the house when I was out at the farm. I actually had done OSB on the front side of the house. Foam board insulation. I always use foam board now. And then I try to use anywhere from an inch to um, 2 inch. Somebody might say 2 inches overkill. I'm the person that doesn't like to be cold, so 2 inch isn't overkill for me. It's sturdy, and so I'll use foam board insulation, and then on the front out at the farm, I had the foam board insulation, and then I had OSB behind it, and I painted on the front. I had OSB and so I oriented strand oriented. I think is the O strand boards or something like that. Is what OSB stands for. It's like a wood panel and treated wood panel. And so then I painted the OSB black to match the house, so you really couldn't see the difference in the wrapping in the house. And then on the back of my house has metal, and so I had a guy come and install some metal on the back of the house so that it was an extension. It looked like an extension of the house. And behind that metal, I also had the foam board insulation. And he had installed it, screwed it in so that, it's more of a permanent type situation, so that, like I said, so I wouldn't have to do it year after year, or something that could just stay throughout the year and look really nice. And so, of course, when I went to move the house, I had to uninstall that. And the difference now in elevation here, so my house is a lot lower to the ground. So for example, out at the farm where I was, the front of my house, I had either 5 or 6 stairs leading into the front door. And here I'm much lower to the ground. And if I can so the stairs haven't yet been installed because they have to be reconfigured, and it's probably going to be 1 step, maybe 2, at the front door. So that kind of tells you the difference in elevation. So that also impacted the house wrap, because all of the house wrap was adjusted for my house being up at that higher level. And so to reuse that same material, which I have all of the material, I brought it over, but to reuse it, I would have to have somebody cut it all down and reinstall it. So I nixed that idea because it was going to be expensive, and because I also had to have somebody uninstall it. Like, it wasn't something I had done the OSB in the front, so I probably could have. I could not probably. I could have uninstalled it myself if I wanted to put in that effort, but I couldn't uninstall the metal on the back I don't like messing with metal. And so I paid somebody to do that. And so this time I want to have something aesthetically pleasing, but also something that I can self manage. And so I'm wrapping the house with foam board insulation. I am covering that with a nice looking tarp. And then we'll be doing some planters in front of all of that so that the planters are the backing of it. So that will, at least in my head, that's going to look really nice. I'm sure it's going to look really nice. And so I'm looking forward to getting that all put together. But it's the right now I've got the tarp and the foam board up, and so it's a ongoing process. And so yeah, that is winterizing a tiny house. And then, like I said, once I do that this time, it's not something that I'll have to do every year. And that is my goal to the first couple of years of my tiny house, I would kind of know around October I'd have to start thinking of wrapping, because I always say we don't have true fall here. We go from where I feel like summer to straight winter. And so around October I would know I only had a couple of weeks to get it together to wrap the house because it was going to be cold soon. Now my thought process is to do it once, and so that I don't have to do it over and over. And so winterization, I also have a video where I've shared pictures for winterization. It is something that um, it's one of the reasons why I offer my skills and my services as a consultant, because it's one of the things that you might not think about. Um, is one of the things because I had a client a couple of months ago that was in the process of buying a tiny house, and she was having to navigate the entire process, working with the builder, all of the stuff, and she was frustrated because she was expecting the process to be similar to buying a traditional home, where you're working with a mortgage lender and you're working with a real estate agent, and they're basically handling the details, and you kind of just show up and sign the papers. Um, Buying a tiny house and managing a tiny house really isn't that way. There's a lot of coordination and things that the tiny house owner needs to know and be familiar with. And it's not things that would just necessarily be um, commonplace or common knowledge, I guess is the best way to say it, which is why I offer my services, because some of the stuff I know through trial and error. Some of the stuff is just kind of me knowing how my brain works. Like I don't think when I first built my tiny house, I knew there had to be something around the bottom of the house to hold some heat in it to keep it warm. To me, that was kind of common sense. At the time, there were a lot of people who were using hay and straw around the tiny house, and that wasn't my thing. That look wasn't my thing. But then there was also, and I got to think about which one it was. I can't remember. One of those, straw and hay, they're different. One of those is more combustible than the other. So that was a challenge for some people. And then also one of them draws mice, and so that was another problem for folks using that, going that method. And again, for me, the from the aesthetic perspective, that wasn't anything a route I wanted to go. And so it has been over the years, I have kind of almost perfected the process, because I know it's got to be done and I know how to do it, and most of it I can do myself. But these are the things that, if that's not how your brain works, or if you don't want to be bothered with it, that's why you want to hire someone with experience, me, to help you navigate all of the things, because it is totally a different process than a traditional house. But for me, like today when I was out working on the house, somebody might think, well, that's a lot of work. I'd rather just be, sorry, I'd rather not have to deal with all of those things. I get it. It's not, I would say it's not really a lot that my house isn't, but so big, but it brings me a lot of, um, joy and satisfaction. So for example, in the addition, part of the wheel well. So my house has, it's either a 6 foot or a nine. I have a triple axle trailer in my wheel well where the wheels are in the house. It's either 6 feet or 9 feet. I want to say it's 9 feet long. So part of the wheel well on this side of the house, the front side of the house, part of the wheel well is in the screened in porch, and then the other part of the wheel well, so like two tires of the wheel well are in the screened in porch, and then one tire is in the addition. And so the wheel well inside the house, I not just inside the house, both sides, I put a box around it. Like, you want to finish it off. Obviously, inside your house, you don't want to see any tires. And so you finish it off. And so inside the house was done when we built the house. But in that addition, a box has to be built around it again because we had to, dismantle the box to move the house. And so a box has to be built around it again. And what I realized when I built the addition, I wasn't there when that box was installed the last time, or I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what happened. But normally I would put foam board insulation in that box as well. Um, because it's an open area it's open to the outside. Air can get in there, and you want to seal it as much as you can. So I was installing the foam board insulation there, and then I wrapped it also with a tarp. And there is some tape, um, the zip boards that they use kind of in place for sheathing of houses. That those zip boards have a tape that you use for those boards, and it is fabulous. Like, I jokingly call it kidnap tape because it that ain't funny. Kidnapping isn't funny for anybody who's gonna be bothered. But okay, so the tape is very strong, like and it's also water. It's for zip boards, which are used on the sheathing to keep water, moisture, vapor, all of that out. So the tape is just fabulous. And so I use that tape with the tarp as I'm doing this wrapping. And so I did that myself. This time I covered the interior of what will be the interior of the box for the wheel well. And so now the contractor can just build the box around it, and I know then that it has been sealed off properly. And so it's stuff like that where somebody might say, I don't want to do all that work. For me, it brings me some satisfaction so that I know it's done correctly. That room before could be a little drafty sometimes. And so those are the things that I'm paying more attention to this time to ensure that that's not the case. I've got to redo the carpet in the room. And so I will be paying more attention to the underlayment that I use, and sealing off the flooring. And so me doing that work myself brings me, and maybe somebody would say, it's controlling, but it brings me some joy and satisfaction to do it myself because this is my baby, and I get to make sure things are done not just correctly, but things are done well, and things are done um, so that the house ends up taking care of me. Like, as I am re doing that addition, as I focus on it this time, I'm gonna make it less of a sunroom space and kind of transition it a little bit, not into a bedroom, but forward thinking that is absolutely going to be my bedroom. And so, as I'm thinking that way, I want to prepare the room so that it is comfortable. And for me, the opportunity to do some of the things myself to make sure it is that space that brings comfort, over the years. Um, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. I would almost want to say it like bring some closeness to my house. Like I almost have a relationship with my house that when I owned a house that I had bought and that I didn't have with that house. I have a connection to this house, and there is some pleasure, some joy in knowing that the inner workings of my house, um um I want to say machines, things like my on-demand water tank, things that I know, the way I know my house intimately versus a traditional house that you don't have that type of relationship with, brings me a type of satisfaction in that I know my house inside out, and my house takes care of me because I put effort in, almost love into to building it so that it is something that can take care of me, if that makes any sense. And so so today, like when I was out doing the work and wrapping the house and working on that tarp and stuff like that, it's taking care of the house, but it's also taking care of me, and I get to put some effort into making sure my house can take care of me, versus expecting somebody else. It's almost like, that if you do things, sometimes you can trust that you're going to go the extra mile to make sure things are done in the best way possible when it's something for you, versus hiring just somebody to do a job, and they're there to do the job and complete a job, but they're not going to take that extra time and attention to the detail and the care that you would take in making sure things are done in a certain way. And so that is, for me, one of the big benefits of my tiny house, in that I know my home inside and out. I shared a couple of weeks ago, as we were navigating some of the challenges with the plumbing and the water. Um, Me having been intimately involved, obviously, not obviously, designing my house, and then having the opportunity to be on site every day as it was being built to the plans that I had designed. I know my house inside and out, and so I get to, as contractors are trying to navigate and troubleshoot, I'm able to say, this was built this way. And I have some pictures of when we were building, and I can explain why we did certain things. And I shared how last week, how the plumber thought I had a major leak. And I was like, there's absolutely no way that could be happening and leaking the way that you think it is, because there's no water lines down there. And so just that connection that I have with my house in that way is a source of pride for me, versus thinking about it from the perspective of it's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort. It is something that is well worth the work and effort. 10 years. Um, and like a lot of love and care has gone into the house, and my house reciprocates that. So I think that is, for me, a big benefit of being involved in my house the way I am. um so yeah. Hey V, I've been talking a lot. Happy New Year, something by Sophia. Hi V. Hello, Dr. T. Happy New Year, Cassandra. Good to see you. Kim, I see some new names in the chat. Thank you all for the well wishes that I'm in the house. Hey, Crystal. I'm glad you're here. I'm hoping you are starting to feel better. Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to be home. Hey, Frederick. Thank you. Um, thank y'all. Hey, Robert. Let's see. Crystal got you, Robert. Yes, I did beat the cold front. I'm excited about that. So I got everything set up because I think we're supposed to have rain tomorrow. So I got everything set up on the outside, and so now I have some things that I am going to be working on in the inside. And I got it set up to um, so that now I can work on inside stuff. Mary is saying I'm trying to get a video of someone setting up hookups for a tiny house. I think that would be helpful for others. It would be helpful for others, but it's also going to be different for each scenario. So, um, for example, my hookups, the hookups, if you're going to a place that already has water and power, and you're basically just pulling up and plugging into that stuff, that's one option. For me, because I stay in places longer term, my hookups are generally different because I'm trenching lines. I'm trenching lines for water. I'm trenching lines for electricity, and there's an install that has to happen with all of that. So that's bigger and different from somebody who is just going to, an RV park or a tiny house community and hooking up to existing water lines. But we can connect on what it is that it's something that I can talk through. I took video of the trenching, and I don't. So again, one of the things that's on the list of something that has to be done, trenching the lines for the water and the electrical install. That's not necessarily something that you'd have to do as a tiny house owner. I have absolutely trenched lines for water and electricity in renting the trencher and running the trencher. My goal as I got started, when I was doing the trencher, I said it out loud. My goal here is to finish up with the same number of fingers and toes that I start with. And I did, thankfully. I haven't run a trencher since that time. I have a friend that I hire to do the trenching for me, Dave. He does a fabulous job for me. But it is something that you could hire. So you hire a plumber, you hire an electrician, and then they understand what has to be done, like your connections, and they can do the trenching. They can do all of that, the trenching, and then come back and close up the lines. However, they're also going to charge you a lot of money for that work because it's labor intensive. And the plumber and the electrician really prefer to come in and be able to do their work, lay the electrical wire, lay the plumbing pipe, and do that work, and that's all they have to do. If they have to do trenching, they're going to charge you for that. And so I have learned it is easier to hire somebody separately to do that work, and and then come back and close up the lines once the plumber and the electrician are done. But that also means I have to figure out how the line should be run, which again, my expertise. It is how my brain works. So I go in and figure out how I place in my house. I figure out where the water source is, where the electric source is, how I'm going to connect to my house, because obviously I know, where all of my lines come in and where they exit. And so it is, like drawing a map of how I want where these lines are going to run, and that then sets the plan for the trenching. It has to be two or three separate lines, one for the water, one for the electricity, and one for the gray water no, 4, possibly 4. The gray water that's going to go out, and the black water, if you have to have 2 separate lines, and that makes 4. But sometimes, and as the case is here, because they're septic, I can have my gray water and black water run at the same time. I mean, run at the in the same line. So gray water is sink water, shower water, kitchen sink, bathroom sink, washer water, washing machine water, shower water. That's gray water, and then black water is poop, feces. And so, depending on your setup, they can go into the same place, or sometimes, like at the farm, I had a separate system for the black water and a separate system for gray water. So you have to navigate all of that or hire somebody. Excuse me. Again, so hiring somebody is going to be an expense when I know I can do it myself. So I hire myself to figure it out. And again, water and electricity can't go in the same trench. So those are 2 separate lines. And I do all that work in advance, have the lines trenched in advance. So the lines were trenched before I moved the house here. And I had identified, exactly where the delivery company, where I needed them to place the house per how I'd already trenched the lines. And so it is an orchestrated effort, a coordinated effort. It is, again, I'm a project manager by trade, coordinate, event planner, event coordinator. Those are the things that I have done professionally. And that is the way, again, my brain works. So this stuff kind of makes sense to me, but it could absolutely be overwhelming to somebody. And it's not. So if you move in an RV park or somewhere that's already prepared and the water hookups and the electricity hookups are there, it's not something that you have to figure out. But if you're moving into, some raw land, then it's something you have to figure out. For me, I am on property that is set up for a mobile home. So there were some electric lines already here, and there were already some plumbing um, pipe here. There's for the septic tank. However, because I'm not a mobile home, I wasn't able to take advantage of the electrical lines that are already run, because Duke wasn't trying to cut them off for me, and I wasn't trying to push them and blow up my spot. And then I also placed my house a different way. So the mobile home was placed long ways, and I placed my one. We could say they were horizontal and I'm vertical. Did I say that right? Yeah, whatever. Because I wanted to put my house so that the sun rose behind it, which came in handy today, and the sunset was in front of it. So I did something totally different, as you all would expect that I would. And so then that also meant that I needed to run different lines for the water and power. Again, a lot of effort. It's not something, once it's done that first time, it's done. You can absolutely hire somebody to do the work, but you're going to also pay for that. And my budget is fixed. I'm on a fixed budget, and so I um, will take care and do the things that I know how to do myself, and the things that I know are labor intensive and that are going to be expensive. And so that's what I do. But Mary, long story, long conversation. Back to that, absolutely can help with that conversation. Hi, Nichelle. Happy New Year to you. Um, Absolutely, Crystal. Um, Mary is saying it sounds like you're smart and hire electrician, plumber, and septic engineer. So I didn't need my plumber. Really, all we needed to do was tie into to the existing septic, and my plumber was able to do that. The one thing we had to add was a lift, or I guess you would call it like a septic pump, because where my it's a slight uphill slope from the back of the house where my septic comes out of the house to the septic tank is in front of the house, and it's a slight uphill slope. So we did have to install they call it a lift or a septic pump to push um, that out. But the plumber was able to do that. So that was an additional expense. But um, septic relies on gravity. So if if you're going uphill and going against gravity, I could have potentially and my toilet has a pump in it and will pump out to 75 feet, but that wouldn't help the gray water. It would only work for the septic. So it doesn't make, to me, it didn't make sense to hope and pray that it worked, that my toilet worked and managed the entire system when there was a solution um, available. So that's what I did. Went and hired somebody to do that correctly. I have a flushing toilet. I have a macerating toilet. It is not a traditional house toilet that just relies on gravity. As I was just saying, it has a macerator, which grinds up waste, liquefies waste, and then it has a pump that pushes the waste out. So that is a macerating toilet. And like I said, it doesn't use as much water as a traditional toilet. So that's what I have, a Sani Compact is what I have, and I don't have a composting toilet or a traditional flush toilet. Hi Rosebud, happy Sunday to you. Um, let's see. Hey Darlinda, happy New Year, happy Sunday. Oh, thank you, Audra. Thank you so much. Um, thank you, Crystal. Uh, let's see. Okay, Robert. Crystal go get you. Oh, yep, Crystal got you. JW is asking, could you have added insulation internally, especially when it was being built? So I have absolutely have insulation in the house. I have a lot of insulation in the house. I have um, foam board. I kind of over insulated, and when I say over insulated, our value is their numbers throughout the country. Wait a minute. Insulation is sold by R value, R14, R something, are the numbers for different types of insulation. And what that number correlates to a map of the United States that somebody identified the type of insulation you need in your house based on where you live, which makes sense. In the north, you're going to get more cold weather, snow. You need a higher, I think yeah, I'm sure it's higher, a higher R value. And so you buy insulation that correlates to whatever R value is on this map. And when I say I over insulated, whatever there's a certain R value for the southern region, let's say it's a R7. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. But say it's the southern region is an R7. I insulated to probably a R14 for the northern region because one, when I was building my house, I wasn't exactly sure I would stay in North Carolina. Probably would never move anywhere very cold. But I'm also the person that as the old person, I don't want my house to ever be cold. So I overcompensated and increased the R value in the insulation in my house. So all the walls are insulated, the ceiling, the on the with foam board, I should say. The back wall that is where my plumbing is, the back wall where the bathroom is, I use foam board insulation and Roxul, which is kind of like the pink stuff but better. It comes in, I think they call them bat, so it's not that rigid foam board, but it's I think would be malleable. I think that's the word. I'm on my words, I think. And so that wall has a combination of that just to ensure the pipes have better insulation. And then remember, my house, the tiny house, is built on a 28-foot trailer. And so that trailer I also insulated that trailer. So the trailer has compartments like along the 28 feet. I think it's rows of three, two or three, like pockets in the trailer. And I absolutely put foam board insulation in all of the pockets of the trailer, before underneath then the subfloor. So insulated the trailer, and then the subfloor went above the insulation, and then we started building the house. That is also insulated. Where I'm talking about, I added insulation is at the bottom of the trailer. And so the trailer is sitting on the ground, and then it's open around the bottom of the trailer. And so that is what I'm talking about, where I insulate, where I'm wrapping it and insulating it. So there was no way to, there would have been no, it's not part of the house. It is where the trailer sits above the ground. So if you think about a house is sitting on a slab of concrete. The house starts being built on the slab of concrete. So it is a foundation of concrete, and then the house is built. And so that foundation, even though concrete doesn't conduct heat or whatever, there's no cold air going through underneath that concrete. It is a block that the house is built on. And then the house, you have I was going to say the attic, the basement, or what is that little area called that people have to go in sometimes, that I would never go in, where snakes are. um Crawl space, that's what I was trying to say, that'll always have bugs in it. So a house will have like a crawl space, and so they put insulation and all of that stuff in that crawl space so that the house is is able to be warm and hold heat. A tiny house being on a trailer doesn't have the advantage of that foundation, so it's just a trailer sitting on the ground. So the cold in the wintertime, that cold ground is up underneath the trailer, and so it helps keep your floors warm if you wrap around that space, that open space. And that's what I'm talking about. I put in a foam board insulation and do the wrapping. Hi, Kitty. um yes, Crystal explained part of it. Thank you, Crystal. I hadn't gotten ahead to to see that you answered it. Thank you, Crystal. Yes, Evelyn, mice, you're talking about the wrapping when people would use hay and straw. Um, and so that is the thing. Like, that's also why sealing the wheel well really makes sense, because I think I told y'all a mouse out there, the farm rats might have been a mouse. They were bigger than mice. I saw one go across my porch. I was sitting on the couch and I saw something go across the porch, and I was like, "Oh hell no, I don't do rodents." And he had chewed through the little cabinet that I had around the wheel well. And so that's when I had to rethink, because out on the farm, like when they cut those fields, there are a bunch of mice, rats, and that stuff. And so they're, looking for somewhere to be warm, like Crystal said. And so they had gotten underneath the house, and one decided that he was going to come through the wheel well. And so I didn't put rat poison out, the very harmful rat poison. I did put down a solution that is less environmentally harmful and harsh. But I also cut some out. I shared this on Instagram. I also cut some pet doors in my OSB in the wrapping. And that's when I was out there with the cats. And so I coerced them to start using the pet doors, because sometimes I put food in there for them, and they would go in and kind of do a sweep. And so I didn't have any problems anymore with mice coming through. But yeah, mice are real. And part of the struggle. I mean, mice will get in a traditional house, so that now I haven't had any in the house. Let me be clear. Let's be clear. I haven't had any in the house, like the which is one of the reasons I also went with the trailer and having the bottom fabricated in the trailer build. Like I didn't buy an open bottom trailer like some people do, and some people will buy that and then they go in and put the bottom on the trailer. I wasn't playing that. I had my trailer sealed from the manufacturer. So anyway, that mice are real. Lena, Lena, Lee. You live in Los Angeles, want to turn a 420 square foot she shed into a shabby chic tiny home. That sounds so cute, cool. All right, I look forward to talking to you. That's a beautiful thing. Um, that's right, V. Tell Robert to spend some money. Um, Robert, I don't know why you play around with those ladies. You know they're gonna get you. Still rise. Happy to have you catch a live as well. Um, Rosin says I use the stuffing for pillows and teddy bears when I framed up my wheel wells. Interesting. I don't know what they're made out of. I know early on 2013, 2014, when people were building tiny houses and they were trying to use a better solution for insulation, they were using um, wool and some other kind of stuff for insulation. I can't think of the other one. To avoid using, like, the pink stuff is really, it's formaldehyde and it's very harmful. And it's um, because of the off gassing. So it's not in a larger space. You have more room for off gassing. In a smaller, tiny house, the thought is to be careful because you're in a more condensed space. So as stuff is off gassing, it's more it's stronger, more potent, I guess. And it was wool, sheep's wool, and something else that they were using. I can't think of. And I know a lot of people had to undo that. I can't think of what the other thing was because they ended up having problems with mold. Um, I can't remember what it was that caused what it was that they were using that were causing that. Okay, so I see you all are saying you get ads. It might be because I set this up already on YouTube. Next time I'm gonna try to I'll try not setting it up on YouTube until after it goes live and see if you all still get ads. Okay, so my apologies. Oh, and Crystal said the same thing about Mo. I got to your. I'll try to see if setting it up afterward eliminates the ads. Sorry, y'all. Um, Sorry, y'all are having that problem. Um, okay, right. Oh, good. You use the anti-mold type. Very cool. Very cool. Hi, Mara Mac. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year. Glad you got here. Yes. Let's see. It does bring satisfaction doing this work. Uh, Rosalind saying she knows her house like the back of her hand, and that has never had a relationship with a house like this. Absolutely not. Um, Absolutely not. Crystal is saying she knew her solar backwards and forward because she did it. Yeah, when you're involved in it, you are very acquainted with your home. I'm nurturing my home because your home nurtures you. Absolutely. Um, Crystal, thank you. I hope you feel better. It does, absolutely. Um, yes, Royal Robert just be cutting up, and I already know they're gonna get him. Between V and Crystal, he don't stand a chance, but he still takes his he still takes his chances. Absolutely. Um. All right, it's 9 o'clock. What did I come on here to talk about? Um. Okay, Mary, we can connect on that. Um. Glorious Life on Wheels is asking, can I share about how much it costs per foot to run electric and water lines each? I'm looking for land to do tiny house community. I would have to break that down. I don't know the cost per foot. Sorry. And it's going to the cost per foot is also going to change by contractor. Like there's not a standard that they're going to charge you where somebody like the standard for electrical work is $75 per foot. That there's not a standard. It's going to be per the electrician in or the plumber. And there are also levels of electricians and plumbers. I think it's master, and they charge more because they are more educated. And so um, I haven't done those numbers, but it is going to vary anyway by location. Thank you, Mary. Yes, I do. Absolutely. Thank you, V. Um, um, Mary's asking how I like my toilet. Um, I I like my toilet. I haven't ever had any problem with it. I believe I introduced other folks. I know Perch and Nest uses this toilet, and I introduced them to this toilet in 2018 or so. I've introduced other people to this toilet. It is a good in between a regular flush toilet that's going to be gravity fed and not necessarily the best solution for a tiny house if you're not going to be in a location where you can connect into septic. And even if I had a flush toilet, well, if I had a flush toilet, I still would have had to use that lift that I mentioned. Um, but my toilet is like the in between for a flush toilet and like an RV toilet, which I don't think folks say are their best options. And so I really like my toilet. My toilet is one that you would use in a traditional house in a basement application. If you say had a basement and wanted to add a bathroom in the unfinished basement, you wanted to add a bathroom, and you didn't want to break ground under the basement to try to tap into the sewer line, which can be expensive, you would use my toilet in that application because you can tie the line into the existing plumbing lines in the house because it has that pump. So you could tie that toilet into the existing plumbing lines, and the pump in it pumps up and out to 75 feet. So the pump in it would connect it into the existing plumbing lines. So you wouldn't have the expense of trying to find or connect into the septic through the ground. And so that's going to save you a lot of money. Um, so yeah, I like my toilet. Robert is asking, can you still use the term tiny home if a home sits on a small basement? Absolutely. It won't be a tiny house on wheels. That's the distinction. Tiny house on wheels or tiny house on foundation. The tiny home concept is going to be based on the square footage. So under 400 square feet, sometimes folks say 500 is going to be considered a tiny house, whether on wheels or on foundation. Um, Rosin also used the North and Midwest R values. I don't like to be cold at all. Glorious Life on Wheels is asking, do I have an opinion about spray foam insulation? So my thoughts on spray foam. One, it might not be as pricey now as it used to be. So that the cost, sometimes the cost is cost prohibitive. Um, so the pros of it. So spray foam insulation on um, a tiny house on wheels. Sorry, is my uh I don't want my battery to die. Spray foam insulation is going to give the house some rigidity. So that's going to give the house, a tiny house on wheels, or found a structure rigidity, some structural integrity. So it's going to um, improve, enhance, not improve, enhance the structural integrity of the structure. So you've got your framing, and then you add the spray foam insulation, and it just enhances the structure, the integrity. So that's the pro of it. The pro of it also is that it is a very uniform um, insulator. So you put in a certain amount and it's uniform, it's done, and it insulates very well. The cons of it is sometimes the expense. Um, Most times you'll have to hire a professional to do it. I think now they're coming up with options that a DIYer can do, but early on, the it had to be done by a professional. And then sometimes people have concerns about the makeup of the spray foam insulation and its um, environmental impact. I guess is the best way to say it. So those are the things that I know are the cons of it, but it absolutely is going to help with the integrity of the structure, and it's a quick and easy way to insulate. Um, Thank you, V. Thank you. Um, K Doja is saying thank you. Welcome to the Charlotte area. I am back and closer. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Very welcome, JW. That's what I am here for. Um, Robert is saying I was thinking about a small wood or a pellet stove to help with heating. Am I making any sense? Um, yeah, a lot of tiny house people have wood stoves and those kinds of things for heat. I'm not a fire burning kind of person. For me, that presents um, danger for me. I don't want a wood burning stove. You also have to be careful with the moisture that a wood burning stove adds to the house. And then for me, the other con to a wood burning stove is like you have to be home to manage the wood burning stove. So like if you're out and want to have the house warm when you get in, if you don't have another source of heat, then you got to wait till you're there and get the fire going, and the house then heats up, after a few minutes. So that those are all cons for me. The ambiance of a wood burning stove is nice. I don't have mine. Oh yes, I do. I think you can see mine. I cheated. I have um the faux wood faux flames over there. But yes, a lot of people have wood burning stoves in their tiny houses, and it is legal. Absolutely. Welcome. Labnificent Media Group. Happy to have you to have caught me. K Dozier, sent some information about ultrasonic repellers indoors. Fortunately, I don't have those problems, but thank you. Hi, Ronnie IQ. Um, Very cool. Yeah, I figured that there were DIY kits, but I don't know anything about handling them. Um, OB is saying I've heard that spray foam off gassing in case of a fire can be poisonous. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. All right. I have been chatting. I came here to talk about something. My intention was to talk about 2025, how we're getting ourselves together for 2025. People always, not always, people generally start their year off with some resolutions and some goals. And I've generally been that type of person before. But the last couple of years, I've been more focused on intentions. And in the Patreon group, New Year's Eve, we hung out New Year's Eve and we talked about um, intention setting versus resolutions and goals, and the shift. A lot of people are making the shift toward intentions versus resolutions. People will make resolutions like I want to lose weight. I want to go to the gym 5 times a week. I want to lose 20 pounds. Um, I'm gonna quit doing this. I'm gonna start doing this. They're usually outcome oriented. They often are focused on something negative, like you don't like something. I'm gonna lose some weight, so then you have this negative thought about your body. Um, I think the numbers say that only 10% of people who make resolutions end up um, achieving them by the year end. I think statistics also say that people who have made like gym resolutions by mid January, um, they already have failed meeting those resolutions. And so the other thing with resolutions and goal setting like that is there's this element of failure. Like it's very rigid. It is outcome focused. And by, week 2, if you haven't been to the gym 5 times a week, you've already failed. And now you feel bad about yourself. And that is not a good cycle. It is absolutely not the way I want to feel about myself. And so that is when I started looking more into intention setting. And so intentions are more about being in the present moment, thinking about present present feeling versus present focus, and present feeling versus goals and resolutions are more future focused. I'm gonna, do all these things over this time period. So an intention is focused right here in the now and in the present. And so an intention, so if your goals or resolution would be around losing weight, an intention would be more focused on how you want to feel. Like, I want to care more for my body. I want to love my body more. I want to take care of my body better. I want to focus on eating well so that I'm caring for my body. It's more of focus from a loving perspective versus a goal resolution perspective. And all of the pieces of caring for your body, working out, eating well, all of those would be components of it. And it's more of from a positive aspect. It's how I feel. I want to love myself, love my body more. So as you're eating an apple or working out, then you're achieving that, and it has a better feeling. There's no negative consequence associated with it. It's also from a grace perspective where if I'm loving my body more and maybe I don't go to the gym as often, I'm still focused on, I'm not going to be hard on myself because I'm loving myself, I'm loving my body. But next week, we're going to try to achieve going to the gym more. It is not the negative beating up of yourself, as we know goals and resolutions can do. And so that is, like I said, we talked a lot about that. If you're not in the Patreon group, join me on Patreon. We have a good time. Patreon allows us to be on Zoom and be in conversation, um, and and is joyful. So we talked a lot about that in that conversation. It's something that I want to encourage everybody to consider shifting, so that you're not beating yourself up on goals and resolutions that um, basically you're setting yourself up to fail. Because if the numbers say only 10% of people are able to achieve those resolutions by year end, and most people fail by mid-January, like, why set yourself up to fail? Why set yourself up to be in a bad space in the first place? And so as we're trying to focus on this, I share, having had the mini stroke, my approach to things is a lot different now. So um, that space of grace and gratitude are where I have tried to be most of this past year, for sure. I absolutely have some goals of different things that I want to do body wise, but I'm not approaching it from a negative space, and um, I want to see how that approach works. Um, I'm also my I also so last year I worked on having a word for the year. And this year I had two words and I couldn't figure out which word I wanted to have for 2025, and it was between joy or surrender. And for me, the joy is, being enjoyed. There was so much joy for me last year, even though last year was challenging from the health experience and so many unknowns. But there was also so much joy in the way people cared for me and the way I was able to connect with people, and the travel that I was able to enjoy. And the first, outside of being a child, the first year, 366 days, I did not work in corporate America. And man, that was amazing. There was so much joy there. And I did not see that coming. But as I shared, it was a life quake, something that was devastating, scary, two operations. Um, but everything was the life quake, like something that was so devastating that turned into something so beautiful. So there was a lot of joy for me in all of that last year. And then the second word that I was um, that I had on my list was surrender. And I have shared, that project manager in me wants to control all the things and be in charge of all the things, figure out all the things. And I have, as of last year, worked so very hard to listen and to not have to be in charge of all the things, and to kind of wait for the direction to show itself. And that requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of me talking to myself to pump my brakes. It requires a lot of me telling myself to have several seats and just kind of wait for things to for answers to show themselves. But it has been last year that, and it's leaning into the unknown. It is the leaning into your faith. And when you're used to running all the things, and as a single mom, and the person that has to take care of me, and there's no cushion, and there's no umbrella or whatever, nothing to catch me. The leaning into letting that control go and surrendering is hard, and it is a constant in my head struggle. But I couldn't have orchestrated my last year the way it turned out at all. And so I couldn't have orchestrated moving my house and being in this new location um the way it happened. um because I did this without a job. um and when I had a job, I wouldn't even let myself consider doing it because I felt like it was wasteful of resources and finances. And but the surrender, because I knew I needed to be out of the location where I was, not because I not because I had to, not because I had a problem with the owner. Is a good friend of mine. From a safety perspective of the physical isolation, having experienced a mini stroke out there, and knowing I was isolated, as well as like the mental health perspective of being isolated and so far out, and the challenges that that presented. So I knew I needed to be in a different space. And the how I got from point A to point B is nothing short of a whole miracle. But it is the listening. It was the surrender. um I've shared with you all, I jokingly, before I had the mini stroke, I jokingly stood at my side door looking out at that farm out there and asked God to write me a note in that field to tell me what I needed to do to get away from corporate America. And I asked him to write me a note. And I was joking, kinda. I was like, it's a whole bunch of bushes out there. Can you burn a bush and let me know what I'm supposed to do? And then later on, where that mini stroke started, I was right out there at that side door. Which is why I keep saying, be careful what you ask for and how you ask for it. Um, but that was my note. And I put it together. I was in that same place. That was my burning bush. It got me out of corporate America. It's not necessarily how I would have signed up for getting out of corporate America, but it did exactly what I asked. um and so the surrender, again, not necessarily the path that I would have taken, but it happened that way, and it has been the life quake of leading to something, and some things that have been so very beautiful. I For this year, I've been on disability. Disability is up for review. Normally I would be stressed and concerned about that, and right now I'm in surrender, because I God got me here, and I'm trusting that these things will happen as they're supposed to happen. And so, again, hi Michelle. It is that surrender. And so my two words, I had joy. I wanted to focus on joy for 2025, and I also want to be in that surrender. And so then I put it together in my word. My combined word for 2025 is the joyful surrender. And that is where I want to focus and where I want to be. And as I spoke about intentions, that is the feeling that I want to feel in being in just in a joyful surrender. And as that applies to all aspects of life. Just being in a place where I am listening and trusting, as Carolina Care folk mentioned, that is what is where I want to focus, and so that is how I'm starting my 2025. And we've been talking about this since November. There's going to be a shift happening. There's already a shift happening, um, and we have to work on bolstering our joy, hanging on to our joy, and our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, all of the things, the taking care of ourselves. And so that is the joyful surrender is one of the places I intend to be. Not trying to control the things, but allowing um, and trusting that things are working for my greater good. And all of this is new territory, and so I'll be reminding myself, and I hope you all will continue to remind me and remind yourselves of the things that we're going to be focusing on. Um, so yeah, that is the conversation I wanted to have this evening. Rosalind is saying propane is her preference for heat. She runs a dehumidifier cycle to get rid of the moisture it produces. Yeah, propane would steam in a tiny house, like from your shower, from cooking. Those are all the things that you have to be cautious about in small spaces. I have a vent that I run in the bathroom. I have a window in the bathroom, like those types of things. Dehumidifiers, all those things are important to have in a small space. Even moisture from conversation can add to um, breathing, can add to the moisture in your home. So that is one of the things that you have to be really cautious of in a tiny house. Uh, Rosin said next week is resolution crash and burn day. Folks already gonna have set themselves up to fail, and it's just the first month of the new year. Absolutely. Um. So yeah, glorious life on wheels. Absolutely agree. 150%. Um. Rockwool insulation, absolutely effective and is a fire retardant. Rockwool and Roxwool are both alternative insulations that people should consider. Absolutely. Um, Thank you, Diva Rhonda Lux. Randa, welcome. A bunch of new names in the chat. I appreciate you all being here. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it if you find it helpful, and come back and join us. I'm glad you all are saying hello. I'm always happy to see new names in the chat, new faces in the chat. Thank you so much, Queen. Um, Thank you very much for being here. Carolina Care saying intention is working so well for me. So glad this is introduced. Um, it's moving intentionally, think, and um, it's such a good feeling, focused on intention, um, and trying to stay focused on the present and setting the intentions of who you are, how you want to feel, how you want to show up in the world, how you want to show up for yourself, show up in your life. Those are some things that all of us need to be focused on, especially this year. This year I'm winding on down out of my 50s, and so those are spaces that I really want to stay focused on for sure. Uh, Audra is saying listening and choosing what to care about and what not to care about is my intention. I love that. Those are great intentions. Um, oh, thank you, Glorious Life on Wheels. My skin, my skin. Right now, I think my face is shiny because I've been outside working and I didn't get a chance to take a shower before I started working. Before I started talking this conversation. So, what my skin is absolutely a genetic blessing. I come from. I knew my great grandmother, grandmother, my mother. Gratefully, all have beautiful skin. So this is genetic. So thank you. I have always been oil of Olay soap user. Now I use one of the Dr. Bronner's brothers soap on my face. I don't do use anything fancy on my face. I've always been scared of fancy stuff, and I've never had a facial because I always feel like I do something fancy that's going to be that's when the problems arise. So soap, and for many years Vaseline intensive care lotion. Now I use, I think it's Thayers, Thayers moisturizer. I don't like thick moisturizers on my face, so I use a very light moisturizer. But that's it. That's the thank you. That is the beauty of a long line of women with beautiful skin, and it is such a blessing because I don't do anything to take care of it like I should. Well, I ain't gonna say that. I take care of it, but I do minimal because I don't want to mess it up. Royal is asking about my shirt. So my sweatshirt, it says Black Joy is revolutionary. It is from Black Men Smile, blackmensmile.com. I have several of their pieces. And I do have merchandise. Let me drop my, this isn't mine, but I do have merchandise. Let me drop my link if you want to buy some merchandise. Thank you for asking. This is the Black Men Smile, blackmensmile.com. I think they should throw me some merch over here because I'm always repping their stuff and sharing their information. I need to tell them they need to show me some love. I'm kidding. I love what they do, and always represent because their stuff just makes me smile. So I believe Black Joy is revolutionary, and it is. I love to wear this, especially out in the world here, and as I see people reading it, it brings me joy to see them read it and wonder what they're thinking, and sometimes see their little cringe, but they'll be okay. Um, Glorious Life on Wheels says sometimes the most challenging experiences yield the most amazing results, like not having to be in a corporate setting. Absolutely. A life quake. Absolutely. Kai is asking why did I have a stroke. So I have shared that I had, and I've been very open about, I had a mini stroke, which is the precursor to telling you that you have the potential to have a big stroke, which I think they say will happen within 72 hours if you don't seek help. And I determined that I had a PFO, patent foramen ovale, I think is how you say that. PFO is a hole in your heart. 1 in 4 people have the hole in their heart. We all are in the womb have a hole in our heart. It is how oxygen moves in the womb. The oxygen moves across the chambers of the heart through that hole when you're in the womb. And then when you're born, as soon as you start breathing air, you're breathing air, oxygen out, and that hole is supposed to close. Just naturally, it's supposed to close. For 1 in 4 people, it does not close. And 1 in 4, so this is very common. 1 in 4 people. So somebody else in the chat is likely impacted by this because it's 1 in 4 people. And so with mine did not close, or as the doctor explained, mine had the flap that's supposed to go over it. Mine was operating more like a screen door, as he explained it. So sometimes it might open. And so I've had this for 57 years and not been impacted by it before. Um, Again, 1 in 4 people have it. You would only really know you have it if you start to have either heart problems or you have a stroke, a mini stroke or a stroke. And then you become aware of the fact that you have a PFO, a hole in your heart. And so what happened was a blood clot formed and went like the perfect storm, went through that hole in my heart and went to my brain. And that is how and why I had a stroke. And so one of the surgeries I had was to close that hole, and they put a plug, for the lack of a better word, a device, but it doesn't do anything but plug the hole. And they put this device to close that hole, so then nothing can go across anymore. And I had that surgery in June, and am still kind of recovering from it, because your heart then has to adjust to having this foreign object in it, which can impact your heart rate and rhythm, which is what has happened for me. And so still kind of navigating that space of regulating the heart rate and rhythm. So that is how and why I had a stroke, not from heart disease or high blood pressure. I don't have high blood pressure, not from bad eating or anything like that. It was from having a hole in my heart that I didn't know I had. And so basically mine kind of was activated by the stress of a job. And so I started feeling this fluttering in my chest, and mentioned it to my doctor on December 1st. He said that my heart was fine. But what was happening was the stress was um, kind of increasing my heart palpitation, causing me to have heart palpitations, and eventually, somewhere along the line, the blood clot formed. And on December 23rd, I had a stroke, so a mini stroke. So 20 something days from me feeling that. And I only felt it during work, being stressed out during work. And so, yeah, that is how and why I had a mini stroke. But it has been a life quake, because it has been something that has, fortunately, I don't have physical um, results outside of like I was just talking about my heart. I have a little bit of something that I'm noticing, almost like a tremor, but not major. Um, and then my impact is more cognitive. It impacted my memory. It has impacted my word recall. Some words don't come, names won't come sometimes. Stuff, folks that I know. My that has that was my impact. My emotions have also been impacted. From I might cry really quicker than I normally would. So kind of like almost like a lack of less control, not a lack, less control of my emotions. But I didn't have to have rehab, like, you'll see I had all the symptoms of a stroke, like I lost control, but I don't have from the mini stroke. Most of the time people recover and get all of their capabilities back. And fortunately was the case for me. Um, so yeah. Um, JW says if one door closes, a window will open somewhere. Audra knew I was about to cry a few minutes ago. I talked myself down out of it. Thank you, Audra. I controlled it. I had to stop and slow down and start and move through that, but I did it. Roy says I always start my new year on my birthday now. I will change from resolution to intention. I like that a lot. It feels good. Thank you. I'm glad you like that. WLJ says, I always receive takeaways from your conversations and end up with self imposed homework. That sounds good to me. That's some benefit. Thank you so much. Um, Darlinda says, that's the truth. No one ages in your family. Your aunt looks the same every time I see her. You must be talking about Rhonda. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is a long line of good genes, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Darlinda. I hope you and your family are well. Um, just saying is saying, I have found that as a single mom, that folks don't acknowledge the built-in anxiety that comes from not having security backup. The only one to rely on is yourself, so that changes your personality 150%. Young single mom at 19, just getting, my daughter was born in June, and I turned 20 in August after she was born, and I have always been the one, the only one, and from a very young age, and it has made me um, be the woman that I am today. It has made me be the hustler. It has made me be the self-reliant, because you learn early on that folks aren't dependable, and you don't have room and space for people not to show up because you got a child or children to feed. And that child was 100% dependent on me to show up and to do all the things, and I wanted her to have the absolute best. And I had this conversation with a guy friend of mine just the other day, who was saying to me that um, I'm not, he said I wasn't really feminine. And we had to have a conversation around that, because I am absolutely feminine, a girly girl, but so I took the conversation. I said, what you're referring to is the fact that I'm going to get shit done. Like, I'm not, I've never had the opportunity to be the damsel in distress, because there wasn't anybody coming to save me. And it wasn't just me, I had a child to feed. And so my dad was killed in a car accident when I was 2. Um, my mother remarried, but y'all don't. We're not talking about that, because that wasn't anything that worked to my benefit. It was a awful situation, awful person, and so the person that I am is from hardship, and that is it. It is what it is. I'm absolutely feminine. But I also, like you said, there's not a backup. You got to be the backup 1, 2, 3, and 4. And people don't. There is anxiety there. That is why I said I'm not used to not controlling things. And the surrender that I'm able to have now has a lot to do with having built my tiny house. It has a lot to do with um, my daughter being grown. Um, I don't know that I would. Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to plug up my computer. Why isn't my computer? Oh, there it is. I don't know that I would be able to. Like, I'm 99% sure I wouldn't be in this same place of surrender as a single mom, because that's hard. It is absolutely hard. So I can relate to that at 150%. I can say it gets better. Um, I also have shared that as I would do my numbers for, it's 9:44. As I would do my numbers for my budget and all of the things as a young single mom, um, my numbers never worked. Like, the income I was bringing in never met the bills that I needed to pay. But every month, my all of the things were taken care of. When it got down to like the last, and it was like, okay, I ain't got another dime. I don't know how we're gonna make it. I've shared that I would go to the mailbox and there might be a refund check from my mortgage or paid my insurance or something like that to get me through. And so I always knew that was God. That wasn't anything from me. I did always have my faith, but I also had to have a different hustle because I felt like, they were somebody who was dependent on me to keep them alive. And so I can relate to that. And the only thing I can say is it gets better. Um, and there is a lot of joy in being on the other side of knowing all of that paid off and looking back. But that doesn't help you right now. I don't have any really good words of wisdom except it gets better and it's worth it, and um, you'll be okay. None of that is really helpful, but that's all I have right now. But you're absolutely right. Glorious Life on Wheels, thank you very much. Um, Kay Dozier, I am working on that as we speak. I knew you were talking about Rhonda. Thank you, darling. All right. I do better. Rosin saying I do better with making new intentions in the spring. I'm not doing anything new when it's cold outside. I got you. Right now, I feel like I'm getting ready to go into kind of hibernation mode. Work on some stuff around the house um, and be ready to bust out in spring. So I'm doing some of that work now. Uh, Rosin saying we are not the Eurocentric version of feminine. We are absolutely tapped into our African divine femininity. Good night, Kay. I'm going to go to bed too. Thank you, Chanel. Audra is saying most people in survival mode have an edge of harshness. Survival mode isn't a fem or dom thing. It's a must. That is why being still and listening to God is a must. Absolutely. Um, you did a great job as a young single mom, Jewel. Yes, you were, and continue to be covered. What a blessing. Um, Thank you. I don't know who this is. I don't know if it's somebody I know. No, 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 but thank you. Absolutely. All right, good people. See you later, Audra. Happy Sunday, Happy New Year. Thanks y'all for hanging around. I swear every time I say I ain't gonna be on long, and I did say that, here we are. So thank y'all for being here. Happy 2025. Happy Intentions 2025. And we will talk again soon. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for the folks in the chat. New folks, thank you. Happy to have you, Darlinda. Thank you for the community, the collective community that always shows up. I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you, Darlinda. Thank you so much. All right. Good night, folks. Y'all take care. Absolutely. Thank you for the transparency. I don't think I know any other way. Like, to me, that's being transparency is being genuine, and I don't gratefully know any other type of way. Thank you so much. Good night. Good night. Good night. Happy 2025. Y'all take care, everybody.